Hi, it's Robin Sharma, author of the 5am Club, and welcome to this mastery session. This mastery session is called Leadership Lessons from Victoria Beckham. Well, Victoria Beckham, someone I suggest is really worth studying. She was one of the most famous pop stars on the planet as Posh from the Spice Girls. She sold 85 million records. In her ascent as a pop star, she said, "I wanted to be more popular and famous than Persil, the laundry detergent," and she did it. She's now a fashion icon. She has her own global fashion brand and enterprise. And I read this fascinating article on her that was in one of my favorite papers, the Financial Times, and the article, to give credit where it is due, the article was by Joe Ellison, who does a wonderful job as a journalist. So I wanted to sort of deconstruct what I learned from the article as well as what I've learned studying Victoria Beckham, because there are some things on leadership that she can really teach us. First thing, she has an undefeatable work ethic. In the article in the FT, she said, "You might not like myself or David Beckham, but you've got to admit we work really hard." So she literally is undefeatable in how hard she works. And you do want to be the hardest working person in every room that you're in. You can have a great strategy, you can have great talent, but grit and your industry and your work ethic really is where the boots on the ground meet the pavement. And so it isn't the most intelligent person who wins often. It's not the most talented person who achieves domain dominance. It generally is someone who has a threshold element or a baseline level of skill, but they bring their capitalization IQ. That's a term from James Flynn, capitalization. In other words, they capitalize on whatever potential and talent they have, and then they maximize it through relentless hours of steady practice. So the first leadership lesson that we can learn from Victoria Beckham is we can work really hard. I'm not saying you don't recover. I'm not saying you don't rest. I'm not saying you don't take seasons to refuel. I'm simply saying when you work hard, bring on your fire. And a lot of people in business today, they don't want to work very hard. They want the rewards of world class. They're not willing to invest in world class. The second thing we can learn from Victoria Beckham is relentless innovation. In the article, she said, it's one thing to become successful, it's another to keep success. And I think what she meant by that is, getting to world class is really pretty hard, but sustaining world class is the game of the legends. So you look at the people, let's say an 11 Madison Park, one of the great restaurants of the world, or some of the great Hollywood actors, or some of the dominant sports superstars, or some of the titans of industry. Oprah Winfrey comes to mind. Or maybe it's a Richard Branson, or maybe it's a Phil Knight of Nike, who founded that organization with Bill Bowerman. It's one thing to get to that level, and yet it's a completely different game to play to sustain that. And what I learned from Victoria Beckham is, she has risen to world class, and now her focus is how do we keep staying at world class. And that does require you don't fall in love with your winning formula. It does require that you maintain this humility. It does require that you forge and foster that fire in your belly. It does require that she pays attention to the details, and that the quality of her clothing and other products is job number one. I read recently she's now starting an online beauty company. So that relentless innovation at the Titan Summit, which is my 4-day live event that we run every December, I teach a model that has been absolutely revolutionary for the entrepreneurs and the world changers who make it into the room each year. And it's called the Titan's Decline. And what I do is I deconstruct what happens to great empires. Whether it's great nations who were once world class, but they've fallen from grace, or great enterprises who were once the dominant players in a field, and they descended on the path of obsolescence. But what I want to offer to you right now is you never want to fall in love with your winning formula. And I do want you to remember, and you've probably heard this from me before, but it bears repeating, which is nothing fails like success. When you are most successful, you are literally most vulnerable. It's human nature to fall into arrogance and to become complacent and to stagnate and forget learning and forget over-delivering and forget getting up early and being faster when you're successful. And that's why so few people not only get to success, that's why such a limited number of producers maintain world class. Leadership lesson number 3 from Victoria Beckham. She is an early riser. Now, she hasn't quite joined the 5 a.m. club, but she gets up at 6 o'clock every morning. And here's what she says. She says she gets up at 6 o'clock because that's the only time she has for herself. After that, she's got to be with her family. And after that, she's got to be with her business. She runs for 7.5 kilometers. And then, listen to this, please. She says, my trainer shows up after that. And she does it on almost every morning. She says, yes, I'm fiercely disciplined. And she says she gets that from her dad. She was in, dance school. And she wanted to quit. She just hit a wall and she told her mother, I can't do this anymore. And her mother said, no problem, leave the college, come home, we'll go shopping. And her father got on the phone and said, no, you won't. You will stay in college. You will follow through on your degree. You will finish dance school. You will not give up. And she said she learned so much from her father about discipline, about staying with her commitments. So she gets up at 6 o'clock, she runs for 7.5 kilometers every morning, then she works out with her trainer. What can we learn from that? The power of rising before the sun. Tim Cook gets up early. Tim Cook, you probably know, he runs Apple. Michelle Obama gets up early. It just goes on and on how many people rose before the sun, because the way you begin your day determines the way you're going to live your day. So a lot of the best in the world understand the power of starting your day well. Getting up at 5 a.m. gives you that time to work on your peace and to just start your day on a really soft, peaceful, thoughtful note that infuses the rest of your day. When you get up early, there's no crowds. You get an amazing head start in terms of your psychological advantage, in terms of your productivity. So we can learn that lesson from Victoria Beckham. Get up early. Hi, it's Robin Sharma, and I really hope you're enjoying this episode of the Mastery Sessions. I'm absolutely delighted that people from across the planet are getting such great results from what I'm doing in the Mastery Sessions. Well, for a long time, we've received so many requests from advertisers to put their ads on the Mastery Sessions, and I have resisted doing so. And yet what I wanted to do very quickly is offer you 2 resources that I absolutely know will create some marvelous shifts and elevations and results in your performance and in your personal life. The first is my book, The 5 a.m. Club. If you have not read it, you really need to know it's one of the best-selling books on the planet right now for a reason. It is transforming the lives of everyday heroes and people who want to make their ascent to world class. Definitely read The 5 a.m. Club. You are going to find it a very special book for your rise to world class. Secondly, for years, people have been asking me, Robin, we want you to be our mentor. Robin, we want you to be our coach. We want to learn what you've taught to the billionaires and the NBA superstars and the other professional athletes and the film icons and the titans of industry. Really quickly, all you need to do if you're interested in me becoming your mentor, head over to thecircleoflegends.com. Thecircleoflegends.com. I've created a world-class digital mentoring program where I will work with you each month to help you make your leap and your ascent to absolute world class. Okay, now back to the episode. The 4th leadership lesson Victoria Beckham can teach us is be a PATHBLAZER. So she was one of the Spice Girls. And when she started her fashion line and her fashion brand, it was a world where celebrities were not launching apparel companies or clothing companies or beauty lines. Now, One of the Kardashians has a multi-billion-dollar beauty line, and Kanye has his footwear company, and all sorts of celebrities are doing that. Back when Victoria Beckham launched her fashion company, you pretty much had to have a fashion degree and fashion training before you could launch your company. But she broke the rules. And part of leadership is really this: following the rules in the right places and breaking the rules in the right places. So I very much believe in following the rules, except in the places where I want to disrupt the field. And so what we can learn from Victoria Beckham is she did not use the fact that she had no fashion industry training or experience to limit her ambitions to dominate her domain. Now, you might say she's not dominating her domain at this point. Her company is actually, from what I read in the Financial Times article, it's actually doing very well. It hasn't quite made a profit, but it's growing very quickly, and it's developed into a massively valuable brand. As you know, there's a big difference between income and profit and the value of the overall enterprise. And the final thing we can learn or model from Victoria Beckham is her AWC discipline, her absolutely world-class discipline. Whether it's, Tom Ford said in the article, you know what, they might not like what she does, but they can't say anything about the quality she produces because it is fantastic clothing. That comes from her discipline. The way, from what I read, she manages her family. She's such a leader in her family. It sounds like she's a great partner to David Beckham. It sounds like she's a great mother to her children. So discipline, the way she takes care of her health, her exercise regime. It sounds unbelievable. It almost sounds punishing. In the article, they talked about the lunch, her and Joe Ellison, that they shared at Nobu in Mayfair. And Joe Ellison shared, she said, you know, I had 2 flutes of champagne and I wanted to eat this and I was enjoying the edamame. And she said, I watched Victoria Beckham. She had, I think it was broiled fish, some broccoli, and that was it. No champagne. She was just meticulous and calibrated with what she ate at the lunch. So I thought that was pretty impressive. Maybe she went for a pizza after the lunch. I don't know. All joking aside, there's no question Victoria Beckham can teach us that leadership lesson that many of the great business builders, many of the great entrepreneurs, many of the great leaders, many of the great humanitarians had that trait in common. Their extraordinary discipline. The other night I had dinner with a friend who's built a great business and it's just rising very, very quickly. And I asked him, I said, you know, you've met a lot of very successful people. One of the people investing in your company is a multi-billionaire. What do you notice all of these titans of industry have in common? And he thought about it and he said, you know, Robin, they're all very disciplined. They get to the office early, or when they're at the office, they focus very strongly on their deliverables in front of them. They don't spend a lot of time in chit chat. Most of them are very, very healthy. They're very, very structured. They're very, very organized, even if it's in their personal lives. So those are the leadership lessons from Victoria Beckham. If you're interested in going much deeper in my philosophy and tactics on leadership, elite productivity, world-class creativity, and if you're really interested in learning what I've taught to the billionaires and the titans of industry and how do you handcraft a world-class life, then first of all, I strongly encourage you to read my book, The 5 a.m. Club. It's currently one of the best-selling books in the world right now for a reason. The content in there took me 4 years to calibrate. It's a lot of my best information on world-class leadership, elite performance, and living a life you'll be very proud of at the end. So definitely go ahead and read the 5 a.m. Club. I should tell you, at the end of the 5 a.m. Club is a free 66-day digital mentoring program where I walk you through even more information and I help you install the early rising habit that is a complete game changer. I also want to mention, because it's important to me, a portion of my royalties on the 5M Club goes to help children suffering from leprosy. So when you invest in your copy, you're also investing in helping a child in real need. If you want to go even deeper, definitely go over to thecircleoflegends.com. Thecircleoflegends.com. I am so excited about the results this monthly mentoring program that I'm delivering is creating in the lives of so many people around the planet. For years, people were asking me, Robin, would you please do a program online where you mentor us, where you coach us, where you hold us accountable, where you encourage us, where you teach us your best information and your models and your frameworks that you taught to all these successful people for over 2 decades. We want to learn that information too. And so I've heard what everyone has been asking me to do. And so my team and I have created this absolutely world-class online mentoring program, the Circle of Legends, and all the information's at thecircleoflegends.com. Final thing. If the information in this episode has been of value to you, I'd love for you to share this episode with 3 people over the next 24 hours. Teacher learns the most. And what do I mean by that? By sharing it with your friends and talking about it. What did you think? What did you learn? Maybe doing a little mastermind. You are actually going to integrate and deepen the material in your life so it really elevates your performance and your impact. And you're going to plant some awesome seeds in the mindsets, heart sets, and lives of 3 of your friends. All 4 of you are going to rise. Wouldn't that be a brilliant thing? So I'd love it if you could do that. Most importantly, I want to thank you for making the time to being here with me in this episode of the Mastery Sessions, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi, this is Robin Sharma. I hope you received great value from this Mastery Session. If you'd like to receive potent training videos, blog posts, learning tools, and information on my 2 live events, Personal Mastery Academy and my flagship 4-day experience, the Titan Summit, go ahead and visit robinsharma.com.